Hey to everybody in the Frequency Real Radio listening audience. I just want to bring you some news you can use. As always, the channel brings you news you can use. This is the Underground Radio, Frequency Real Radio, where the frequency is always real. And before I go to bed, I'm really tired. And this article is really long, but it is imperative that we understand what's going on, and we understand what's happening, and that we understand what kind of government we are moving towards. And the funny thing is, I just posted a pick a card tarot reading on my channel, and in the video, when I was looking at some of the astrology and just thinking about Saturn and Pluto going retrograde, and Capricorn, the North Node being in retrograde in Cancer, and everything that's going on, I talked about things coming up from the past, from government reinforcing some things that's been on the table. And this is crazy because I'm sure it's happening. I mean, it's no surprise, there's no doubt in my mind that many things are done to silence people who speak out against those who control the media, society, and government. So I know those things happen on a daily basis, every minute, every hour, 365 days of a year. But I didn't know there were active issues on the table to remove people who maybe speak out against the government or don't agree with the government, or even antagonize the government, not in a terroristic sort of way, just in a way of conveying their freedom of speech, their right to freedom, their constitutional right to a freedom of speech and opinion. So we may live under this government, but it's supposed to be a quote unquote democracy. That's a whole nother video. You'll be shown really clearly how it's not a democracy as I read this article. And, we're supposed to have freedom of speech and things like that. And for non-terrorist people to get banned from social media platforms just because they have controversial opinions or opinions that don't agree with the government, or that expose some things that some of the powers that be do. I feel like this is a huge, I think if you've been tuned in for the last 5-10 years or so, you see the things that are coming down the pike. You see the changes. You see the laws that are put into effect to tighten the control on the people. These laws, these broad laws against terrorism, acts and things like that, certain FCC communication laws, things that really have turned us into a big brother society where there is no such thing as real freedom, and we are under the guise of democracy when this is really a dictatorship, and not a dictatorship it's a capitalist dictatorship. So it's not just run by one person. It's run by those who have the most capital. The ones who have the most capital control the interests of the company. And I'm going to say capital in air quotes. So I think it is very imperative that you are aware. Information is key. Even if, you die tomorrow, you go, information forms wisdom, and you can live your life, or you can go knowing that you have looked deeper and that you have been informed about the things that are going on in this world. So I want to read you this article. Now, guys, it's a pretty long article, so I'm going to try to get through this. Now, the article is out there in the New York Times. It is in on all kind of sites, and it's on CNN. So you can go find this article practically anywhere. But I'm reading it from AP News. I didn't want to take it from one of the major, most recognized. AP News is very recognized. It's out of San Francisco, this particular article from AP News. But I wanted to take it from not one of the bigger sources, to possibly, with the thought that possibly there may be a more objective point of view that the article was written from. So this is basically about the Facebook bans on dangerous, quote unquote, dangerous individuals that have been cited for hate speech, or that they're citing for hate speech. This article is by Barbara Ortate. It was written yesterday. And again, this is the apnews.com. AP News San Francisco. So let's go through the article and, just talk about this ban on people who have done nothing but spread what their opinion is or what they know based on facts and factual research. I've never heard hate speech. I follow Farrakhan on Instagram. I just found out that these people were banned. I think Alex Jones was banned a few months ago on Twitter. And when I say Facebook, that covers your platforms such as Instagram. I think Facebook has WhatsApp. So it's whole umbrella of apps it's been banned from. I'm not sure if Snapchat is in that umbrella of Facebook apps. Excuse me. It's like I'm tired. I did those readings early. I'm worn out. It could be. But readings take a lot of energy out of me. I just have to be honest. Anyway, so it's that whole group of apps. So I just found this out maybe like 3 or 4 hours ago. And when I went to go to Farrakhan's page, his page is no longer there. It's deleted. Like the name comes up and it just says page can't be found. And this is an extreme injustice if you want to know my opinion. It's late. So I'm trying to get my commentary in before I read the article because I won't be doing any commentary after I read. I'm just going to post this and this is for you guys to do with what you will with it. So the article states, one second, I'm going to screenshot of this. The article states Facebook bans quote unquote dangerous individuals cited for hate speech. After years of pressure to crack down on hate and bigotry, Facebook has banned Louis Farrakhan, Alex Jones, and other extremists. And you see how they put Farrakhan first, saying they violated its ban on quote-unquote dangerous individuals. The company also removed right-wing personalities Paul Nehlen, Milo Yiannopoulos, Paul Joseph Watson, and Laura Loomer, along with Jones's site, InfoWars, which often posts conspiracy theories. The latest bans apply to both Facebook's main service and to Instagram and extend to fan pages and other related accounts. Decried as censorship by several of those who got the axe, the move signals a renewed effort by the social media giant to remove people and groups promoting objectionable material such as hate, racism, and anti-Semitism. Removing some of the best-known figures of the U.S. political extreme takes away an important virtual megaphone that Facebook has provided the likes of Jones, Yiannopoulos, and others over the years. But it does not address what might be done with lesser-known figures and those who stay on the margins of what Facebook's policies allow. Critics praised the move, but said there is more to be done on both Facebook and Instagram. We know that there are still white supremacists and other extremist figures who are actively using both platforms to spread their hatred and bigotry, said Keenan Hanks, senior research analyst for the Southern Poverty Law Center, which tracks hate groups in the U.S. Dipayan Ghosh, a former Facebook executive and an internet policy expert at Harvard, said the ban isn't as big a step as Facebook appears to be painting it. It's just enforcing its existing policy. There will always be more purveyors of hate speech that try to come on these platforms, he said. Will advocates have to push year after year just to get, in parentheses, a handful of individuals off? At this rate, it seems likely, and this doesn't address the problem of what happens at the margins. Facebook has previously suspended Jones from its flagship service temporarily. This suspension is permanent and includes Instagram. Twitter has also banned Loomer, Jones, and Yiannopoulos. Though Farrakhan, the leader of the Nation of Islam, long known for provocative comments widely considered anti-Semitic, still had an account Thursday. So did Watson, who rose to popularity as editor-at-large at InfoWars, has nearly 1 million followers it said, so did Watson, who rose to popularity as editor-at-large at InfoWars and has nearly 1 million followers on the site. And I'm not sure if you guys, I'm taking a pause from reading the article real quick. I used to listen to InfoWars years ago. I haven't listened in a long time. But even when you talk about white supremacists and things like that, InfoWars is more about conspiracy theories and exposing. But to see them ban InfoWars and to ban Farrakhan, and of course, even when I've seen people from the KKK or people who preach white racist rhetoric, I never once thought that their speech should be banned, because you cannot control. I don't care if it's good or if it's evil. You can only have so much control over people. At what point how far do you want to go with controlling people's minds? As much as I don't agree with any Aryan or racist views of black people or people of color, I've never thought to silence their speech. They can say what they want to say, and if they want to fight, then it's going to be a fight. But I've never thought that anybody's speech should be censored. And that's just me saying that to say, no matter how much I disagree with what people are spewing, I don't believe in censoring their speech. And this just goes to show how we need other developers, other coders, other people who know how to build websites and apps to really get together and build up a platform that's based on freedom of speech, where you can put up anything you want as long as it's not illegal. Because at the end of the day, we live in this country and we have to follow the laws. So to ban folks who aren't doing anything illegal is very, very troubling and concerning. Back to the article. Facebook said the newly banned accounts violated its policy against dangerous individuals and organizations. The company says it has always banned people or groups that proclaim a violent or hateful mission or are engaged in acts of hate or violence, regardless of political ideology. It added that when it bans someone under this policy, the company said it also prohibits anyone else praising or supporting them. You can't even praise or say you support Farrakhan or you support Alex Jones and what InfoWars done. I'm sure people have learned so much information from InfoWars over the years, from Farrakhan over the years. Since when did they start banning religious leaders like Farrakhan under hateful individuals? This is just crazy. Back to the article. For years, social media companies have been under pressure from civil rights groups and other activists to clamp down on hate speech on their services. Following the deadly white national protests in Charlottesville, Virginia in 2017, Google, Facebook, and PayPal began banishing extremist groups and individuals who identified as or supported white supremacists. A year later, widespread bans of Jones and InfoWars reflected a more aggressive enforcement of policies against hate speech. But Facebook instituted only a 30-day suspension, though Twitter banned him permanently. It is not clear what events led to Thursday's announcement. In a statement, Facebook merely said the process for evaluating potential violators is extensive, and it is what led us to our decision to remove these accounts today. Last month, it extended its ban on hate speech to prohibit the promotion and support of white nationalism and white separatism. It had previously allowed such material, even though it has long banned white supremacists. Asked to comment on the bans, Yiannopoulos emailed only, "You're next." Jones reacted angrily Thursday during a live stream of his show on his InfoWars website. "They didn't just ban me, they just defamed us. Why did Zuckerberg even do this?" Jones said, referring to Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg. Jones called himself a victim of racketeering by cartels, and that's exactly what it is. "There's a new world now, man, where they're banning everybody, and then they'll tell Congress nobody is getting banned," he said. And that's how it works. I work in a certain industry. It's big business, huge business, one of the biggest businesses in the country, across the world. It's probably the hugest industry out there. And if you've watched my videos, you've heard me mention what industry I work in, and I see how all of the involvement. And in this industry that I work in, I work under the government sector, and I've worked under the government sector. So I get a firsthand look at a lot of underwriting of policies, a lot of legislation and laws that are made around this particular industry. And if you have certain parts of that industry that are administered, paid for by the government, then you have even stricter laws and mandates and rules that apply to those programs that you administer to your laws that apply to those programs that you service customers within and through, which are administered by the government. You have even stricter laws and regulations. And I see how all of the laws and regulations, it just causes for like a tornado of a shitstorm, because you can only write so many policies and so many laws, and you can only have so much verbiage and rhetoric involved in the thing before it just becomes collusion, delusion, and it is a total contradiction of itself. So I've seen policies and mandates and things written so extensively, and that they start to trip up over other parts of the policy or mandate, or they start to contradict other parts of the policy or mandate, or they become hard to definitively interpret. Sorry guys for tripping over my words, I'm tired. Definitively interpret one policy or one part of the policy from the next, and be able to have that applicable to the business that you're doing, or the service that you're supplying, or whatever you're doing that is mandated or administered or comes under that contract, especially those administered and mandated by the government. So I see how writing so much policy to protect, and we're protecting against terrorism, and we're protecting against hate, and we're protecting against all of that. Have you noticed the more that we get policy and the more bans we get, the worst crime gets, the worst quote unquote terrorism gets, the worse things get, the more of these laws such as the Patriot Act, these laws, acts, bills that come into play, the more that we administer, the more violent and out of control society gets. And it's all a ploy to lead up to the one world order. The new world order, as Alex Jones said in the quote I just read, there's a new world now, man. Anyway, to continue with the article, Alex Jones says there's a new world now, man, when they're banning everybody and then they tell Congress nobody is getting banned. He said that's a clusterfuck. It's a mindfuck. We're living in the world idiocracy. If you've never watched the movie Idiocracy, watch that movie. I saw that movie about, I want to say it had to be a good 10 years ago. Whenever that movie came out is around the time I saw it. And it was such a satirical, what's the word? It was such a satire on real life and the state of the world, and the state of the world the state that the world would be in years later into the future, and it's just coming true now, and it's crazy. So it's back to the article. It says Watson meanwhile tweeted that he was not given a reason, and that he broke none of the rules, and I don't think any of these people broke any of the rules. Hopefully, and if you talk about like Ku Klux Klan and white supremacy, they actually do preach hate and killing and things like that. But these other people, Alex Jones, Farrakhan, they really don't. It's one thing. It's no different in saying, okay, if somebody attacks me, I'm going to defend myself. I have the right to do that. That's my constitutional right at all. But it's not our right to just attack people and physically harm people first, which is what white supremacy represents. There's no stance of if they attack us, we're going to attack them. They believe in wiping out black people and people of color, anybody that's not of the Aryan race. But Farrakhan, Alex Jones, and people who they're saying are on this extremist side of the political spectrum, they don't preach just going out. They don't have hate monger speech and preach just going out and killing people and doing evil things to people. So anyway, it's more of a self-preservation sort of thing with Alex Jones, Farrakhan. It's like, here, this is what we believe is going on. These are the facts we have to show you, and this is how you can protect yourself. They're proactive mechanisms of protecting oneself. They're not hate speech and you know, dangerous individuals and things like that. So then the article says, going back to the article, hopefully other prominent conservatives will speak out about me being banned. And this is what Watson is saying. Knowing that they are next if we don't pressure the Trump administration to take action, he wrote. And that's why, what's his name? The one who's like Monopolist or whatever his name is, when he was asked for comment, Yiannopoulos, when he was asked about comment to this article in the AP that I'm reading, he said, "You're next," because they can use any guise to ban you. As long as they're on that agenda and they all agree on it, you could be saying something that has nothing to do with hate speech, being dangerous or anything like that. But if they all get together and say you are, and hold you to these unlawful rules, these unlawful laws, then they can put you in that category and have you banned, just like they're doing these quarantines with the vaccines, if they feel that you're any sort of threat. And the threat doesn't have to be real. It just has to be what they perceive, what the people in control perceive as a threat. And I just want to say also, this is very, it's absolutely crazy, coming on the heels of Farrakhan being involved in such a powerful event that took place, which was the passing of Nipsey Hussle. I don't know if you guys read esoterically or deeper, metaphysically into things, but there was a much bigger picture that went down with Nipsey's funeral. And if you didn't get that the Nation of Islam is probably the closest thing we as black people and people of color have to an army, then you're totally living in ignorance. You're missing the bigger point about everything that went on. And this is why I really do feel a way about how a lot of our quote unquote conscious black people, or people who are quote unquote in a conscious community, or they are on YouTube bringing information, people who are in the information that involves the black community and people of color across the world, when they constantly go at each other and they're going at people like Farrakhan, because there's a much bigger picture. And if you're either part of the solution or you're part of the problem. And if you're going against people that look like you, whether you agree or not, and holding up causes like, oh, you killed Malcolm X and all this stuff, that's bullshit. Because what is going on is no such thing as the past, and there's no such thing as the future. All you have is right now. What are you doing right now to change this? Because as we stay divided, they're making moves that are going to divide you permanently, and you will never have anything that can get together and organize and fight against it. So we really need to think about that and take a closer look at our behaviors as a people, and our incessant and inherent nature to not be able to get along and work together and have love for fellow mankind, rather less we don't have love for our fellow mankind, rather less our fellow brothers and sisters that look like us. So that shit is out the window, because mankind doesn't have love for mankind. And I also want to touch on the fact that, and I said I wasn't going to give commentary, right? I guess that was a lie. So I also want to say something about people talking about how people of color, black people, are so violent. This world is so violent. We're so violent against each other. Violence. This America is built on violence. To be one of the richest countries, quote unquote, most profitable or richest countries in the world, violence is ingrained. It is a very part of our core. It is a very part of our psyche. We aren't even mentally wired to handle things without a fight or confrontation or violence. We learned it from the best. Those who conquered the indigenous people, they are violent across the world. Blacks being violent against blacks, Mexicans being violent against Mexicans, and whites being violent against whites. No matter what race, color, or creed you are, racism is a way of life. It is as much a part of the blood in the red, white, and blue in the American flag as anything else, as apple pie. Violence is as American as apple pie. Anyway, because I want to shut this down. It takes me a long time to upload when these things get really long, and I'm at 24 minutes. Let me finish the article, and then I'm going to bid you guys adieu and good night. So it says, let me go back to where I was. Farrakhan Nayland and Loomer did not immediately return messages for comment. Harvard's Gash said kicking off individuals with big following, such as Jones, goes against Facebook's commercial interest. As soon as they kick Alex Jones or Laura Loomer off their platform, it immediately ticks off a huge number of people, he said. Associated Press writers Tally Arbell in New York and Michael Kunzelman in Silver Spring, Maryland, contributed to the story. This story has been corrected to read Charlottesville, Virginia, not South Carolina. So that's a shorter version of the article, guys. Again, this was from the AP News. You can go out to any of the news sites and read what's going on right now and what's going on in this article. I'll put the link to the AP News and this article in the AP News below. And I just want you guys to stay educated, stay vigilant, even if you aren't on the front lines, if you aren't speaking out or doing any action about this. At least you can be informed, so when things come to your door and situations are presented to you, you will know the thing to do, the best decisions to make, and how to handle things that are happening in this world, because you are truly, everybody in this listening audience and that is existing on the planet today is truly a part of the transformation this world is going through, and the complete change that we're going through as a race, a human race, and as a people. So guys, please leave your comments. I really want to know what you all think. I believe this needs some serious discussion, and we really need to get some people together who know how to build, because we have to walk away from these things that think they have control over us. We have to break these habits and addictions to things that are not good to us and don't benefit us, and that control us in a very negative and domineering and abusive way. The abusive controls of power. Let's discuss it, guys. Let's talk about it. Stay informed. Love you. Much love. Hope you and yours stay safe. Sending you a lot of love. Frequency Real Radio, Madam X. Visit earthskystar.com for your crystals and your healing power, your healing, all of your healing needs. You're going to need it in these days and times. Thank you, guys. Come again.